Did Zach bring this in?
Yeah.
What was that noise?
I think it's well, it's mine down here.
Oh, it was Leslie. Dan was rattling around out.
Dan the man.
Immediately, yeah.
And then I also.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Dan. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
How's your son feeling?
Hopefully better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked like he was pretty comfortable. He's next to the refrigerator, so.
That's right, where all the popsicles are hidden.
Don't let him in those popsicles. That'll be a bad thing. Oh, well, ice cream, yeah, that's all good. My mom took all four of us kids, my two twin brothers, 2 years older than me, my sister, a year and a half younger than me, took all four of us in at the same time.
Oh, really?
To Deaconess Hospital in Spokane and had her tonsils out all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only one who.
That was quite an ordeal for everybody.
Monica, are you
Sure.
having trouble with the internet portion? What's that? Are you having trouble? I'm having trouble with my Microsoft not responding.
Oh, no, it looks like it's working on this end. Do you want us to get Ben down here?
See, mine didn't work yesterday. Isn't that weird?
What's not working?
Well, my Microsoft is not responding.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah. standard answer.
Yeah.
You tried shutting down and restarting?
That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, you know, Microsoft tried to get it right. They copied Apple as much as they could, but, you know.
I'm so embarrassed. I had, I got my laptop on the side and I moved everything to the middle. So
Yeah.
I could use better. And then my monitor wasn't working. I went and checked.
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay. It wasn't quite plugged in.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Before Sean came over.
Good morning. It is Thursday, May 28th. Commissioner Van Beek, Commissioner White, Commissioner Dale. We are here in the Commissioners' meeting room. Tricia Nielsen, who is the Director of the DSD Department for Canyon County, is here, and Monica Reeves and Jen and Ross, who are Deputy Clerks for the Commissioner's Office, they are also present here with us. There are some of you that are WebEx. This is a WebEx meeting, and welcome to that. I see there is a phone call, and it starts with a 880. Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, good morning. This is Brad Goff.
Brad, it's nice to have you. Okay, and
We have a second cell phone user.
you have a second what?
Second cell phone user.
Oh, a second cell phone user also. Could you identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Donna Goff.
Brad and Donna, very good.
And then
Okay.
this is Carrie Smith Sigmund.
See, yes, okay, Carrie. Now, I have to ask, I'm going to, this is the Goff's request, so I assume you are both in favor, but do you both wish to speak?
Yes.
This is Brad, and definitely I would like to speak, yes.
Okay, and Donna?
I don't want to speak. I registered Roger, but only if he needs to speak, if there's anything that he wants to add. If not,
Yes, I'm saying right here, we're together.
Oh, okay, okay. Roger, Roger, we'll swear you in just so that you'll be ready to testify if the need arises, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And let's see if I've missed anybody. Kathy, Zach Wesley has joined us from the prosecutor's office. And our Dan Lister is here. He was the planner that will be presenting this. And Carrie, do you wish to speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. And you are for or against?
4.
Okay, very good. I see no one else. Monica, do you want to? Monica, are you prepared? We'll swear these people in. We're going to swear you all in. We need you to put your left hand up, please. Right hand up, please. Whichever hand goes up first. No.
Tricia Nielsen, Dan Lister, Brad Goff, Roger Goff, do you swear or affirm, Carrie Smith Sigmund, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Very good. Okay. So at this time, then, we will go to Dan Lister. And would you please get us started?
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Before you is a request from Roger and Donna Goff to rezone their parcel, an 18.7 acre parcel, from agriculture to rural residential. This went before the Planning and Zoning Commission, who is recommending approval of this application. Just a little bit of background on this. So this parcel has no available land divisions available. This has been split off multiple times. In 2018, the Goffs did try to annex this parcel into the city of Caldwell, due to believing that they had an annexation path. However, after going through the process and taking the time through the process, at that time, it was decided by the tax commission that it was only contiguous by a narrow strip and therefore not accepted. However, since that time, there is an annexation path. It is actually adjacent to city limits, but however, the Goffs do not want to annex at this point. Sorry, hit the wrong button. So as shown on the screen before you, to the left is the zoning map. Though the Goffs property is surrounded currently by agricultural zone, it's also adjacent to city limits, which are identified to having low density residential type of uses throughout that area. At the center photo there is our future land use map, which is identifying the area to be residential. And then City of Caldwell, you can see their future land use map as below the Goff site, it'd be medium density residential. Their property, if it were to be annexed into the city, would be low density residential. As you can see in this slide, to the left is the subdivisions within a 1 mile radius. There's 56 subdivisions, about 1,582 lots with an average lot size of 0.43 acres. Most of these are located within the City of Caldwell's jurisdiction. To the right, you can see the soils map, which is identifying the property as best suited soil and prime farmland. Attached here is the well map. As you can see, it's not located within a nitrate area. There are wells that do show in the vicinity of having some nitrates in the water, but nothing that exceeds DEQ's requirements. To the right is the TAZ traffic analysis zone map, which is identifying that this is a growth area for residential use. Comments that were received during this time, one was from City of Caldwell. The engineering department stated that there are services along Marble Front Road, but no services along Lincoln Road. So let me go back to another map so you can see that, and I'll try to annotate that. So services are currently available right here along this frontage right there. Let me go back to, the engineering department is saying if this gets approved during the plating process, they're going to require some road improvements and dedications as part of the plating process. However, we did receive a letter and testimony from Jerome Mapp, Planning and Zoning, who is recommending denial. Jerome Mapp believes that this should be annexed into the City of Caldwell and connected to city services. We also received comments from Canyon Highway District Number 4, which would require during the plating process the development to meet all access and improvement requirements such as right-of-way dedication and any required widths for that new access. Southwest District Health would require just a pre-application meeting prior to plating. And then Pioneer Irrigation District identifies that there's a lateral that bisects the property and would require approval at the time of plating. As based on the concerns by City of Caldwell, the applicant has identified, as you see on the screen, that they are willing to enter into a development agreement to limit the part of the division of this property to 3 lots, approximately 6 acres each. Just to demonstrate, one, that they're not doing this to develop this for financial gain. This is just for family division. And with this development agreement, if we go along with this, the 6-acre lots are big enough to where in the future, if they wanted to divide it further or sell it off, they can easily annex it into the city, and it would have enough room to redevelop. So the Goffs are willing to enter into an agreement, which you do have a signed copy of that development agreement if you wish to proceed with that. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this application without the development agreement. Today, staff is recommending approval of this request subject to that development agreement that that Goffs are willing to enter into.
Dan, I do have a question. Did you say that planning and zoning recommended approval?
Correct.
Okay.
Without the development agreement.
Without the development agreement.
Right, and I have a question on that. So the one thing again that seems to be missing on this is the number one, personal property rights. I'm having a hard time understanding why there has to be a development agreement. This would mirror other applications that we've seen where the city wants to put their requirements for development on a county piece of property. So that doesn't make sense to me, I guess, because if their interest is just to divide this for their family, first of all, it falls above that 5-acre requirement that you can't force annex somebody. That's House Bill 25 that was referenced earlier this week. So I guess there's an option still on the table for the board to approve this if they wanted to, that would mirror what the planning and zoning did, right? You're just trying to make it, I guess it's a layer I don't understand, probably that has some cost involved in it, I would imagine, by putting, you know, a development agreement on there. And then they would have to come back at a later date to undo that development agreement if they wanted to subdivide that further. Can you talk more about that?
So the city identified that they potential impacts for this to develop just outside the city limits where there's city water and sanitary services adjacent to this property. And so they define this as suburban sprawl outside the area where the city predicts growth. And so the idea is if it's zone RR and we don't have a development agreement on it, it has the potential to create 9 new lots outside that area, which would be very hard to redevelop in a later date if the city were to annex it in the future. So the development agreement is in play, recommended, so where the interest of the city is reflected in the decision, as well as giving the Goffs what their ultimate goal is, which is the 3 lots, about 6 acres each. So at the end, the scenario is more of a win-win scenario for the city and for the Goffs.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Commissioner Dale?
Yeah. Trish, you wanted to say so? I'll wait until you get
Yeah. Madam Chair and Board, I just thought I would add some more history of our conversation working with the City of Caldwell regarding the Goff schools here to split it into 3 parcels for their family. This is probably over a year ago. You know, they had gone to the city. They were literally at City Council, and they did a timeout, and the tax commission said it was a shoestring at that time. So they really decided what they want to do. They just want to split it. You know, they're retired and they just want to take care of matters for their kids. They're not developers. So in working with the city, you know, we have an areas impact agreement in County Code. You can find it in the city code. And so the staff at the city didn't think they have what we know we have the ability when they plat to get waivers. So part of the development agreement would hope when the plat comes in, we still need to work with the city to have them acknowledge that they have adopted to waive those improvements. You know, for what we're looking at here, the Goffs are really concerned about having to build road improvements for these 3 large parcels.
curb gutter and side.
We feel that should happen when they redevelop, which is probably a question of when, not if, at some point. At least the kids have large enough property to redevelop. And I actually worked with them in the city. Their original layout would have complicated that. They had a private road in the middle, and I said, no, work with the highway district, get something out on the street. And then when you redevelop, then you'll lay the roads out. So,
Trish, I want to
also,
ask on that transportation issue. Are you saying that the development agreement protects the Goffs from having to lay out the capital for the road improvements that were outlined by Canyon Highway District 4?
So I just want to say, I worked with the city clerk because I knew when we adopted our area of impact, this is going back into the 80s, I think it was. as Debbie Geyer quickly found, the city council did adopt. It's in there for waivers, but the staff doesn't see it in their subdivision, the engineering division. So at some point, we'll probably have to escalate this to the city attorney and the mayor. I got the ordinance from the city clerk and I gave it to the staff. And we do that with NAMPA all the time, waive things. You know, when it's county sub and it's not, it's not a development per se. It's an interim division of land for, you know, family. So we still will have that work to do when the plat comes in. I just wanted to give you that history that we've worked extensively with the city staff to try to, you know, meet the city's need to not block growth, you know, where they have invested in utilities, but let the interim development happen in a way so that it doesn't block the city from growing.
I have another question.
There was streets
Commissioner Daly.
and utility easements, even when the plat comes in, work with the city to make sure that utility easements reserved for the extension of services into the future.
Okay, Commissioner Dale.
Yeah, thanks, Trish, appreciate that. I just, a couple of things here as we're going, and Dan, thank you for that good presentation, really appreciate that. Regarding forced annexation, it's not possible to force annex anything that's not totally enclaved anyway. So this is a ways from that, and it'll be a while before that gets, so that's really not relevant to this discussion. But as far as the development agreement, the only thing that I have a problem with on a development agreement, if we want to do that, is that it says no further divisions of the subject property shall be allowed, and I would like to add to that, if we're going to do that, without annexation into the city.
Right.
I think that would make sure that the purpose of saying that is that they have to annex in order to develop further.
Yeah.
And I think that would help clarify that issue. And that's the only thing I'd have to say about the development agreement. The rest of it is pretty much boilerplate kind of stuff that has to be done anyway. So, yeah.
Okay, Trish.
It would accomplish the same goal the way it's worded now, because upon annexation, development agreement terminates.
Yeah, our thing goes away, right? Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Van Peek.
And Madam Chair, I guess Commissioner Dale has spoken a couple of times about some of the, I guess, ministerial things, that if there was a land division that option wasn't exercised before a certain date, then they lost that option, and does that not apply to this? They've taken all the divisions that they can take, okay. So this doesn't qualify then for a simple split, and so the platting process on this is what's triggered next in our county ordinance.
Yeah, they just wanted to get through the rezone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just trying to figure out flat. And has there been any out of the ordinary costs? I mean, I know when they went to the city of Caldwell, were there costs that were incurred that were out of the ordinary for a person? Why has this been complicated, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I would say that was probably their advice that they were given. I'll just leave it at that. Not from the county.
Okay. Okay.
As far as the annexation, the previous annexation request.
If you want to answer that, I would probably.
And as far as the annexation attempt earlier, the only complicating factor there is the tax commission who upholds the state statute against shoestring annexations, and they deemed that a shoestring annexation. So it's not allowed. Yeah.
And I just say the maps don't really show where the shoestring is in the southeastern corner. The line, it's so tiny that the other line is obliterated on the maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now they've got a direct
that parcel in the corner is actually a little strip on the eastern boundary.
But now they have contiguity on the southern end, right?
Now they have
Marble Road, right? Yeah, so that wouldn't be an issue if they want to annex it in the future.
And so one more question. So the letter from Ron McDonald, city engineer, states that if and when the greater division occurs, that there will be, trying to figure out how that's worded on there, that services won't be available for one parcel or the other. Okay. So do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
But I guess what I want to say is when the plat comes to the board, would anticipate a request to waive improvements for the 3 parcels. There's the process in what the city and the county have adopted to waive it, but so while it's still uncertain what the city will require them to do, we told them the board is the ultimate authority to approve a waiver. It's more of advice from the city. The Goffs haven't been provided a process from the city of Caldwell to request waivers, and the engineer doesn't believe he can even do that because it's not in the city code.
And what that would involve, Madam Chair, would be a waiver of the road requirement and the requirement for the,
Land
hookup to city services. Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Dan?
I'll just make one. And Dan, I believe I know we dealt with this quite often in the city of Nampa. And there's 2 roads that the city chose to follow as far as county subdivisions, county development. If it's in the impact area, the county is required to go to the city and say, what do you think of this? What are your thoughts? And the city chose, and a lot of times, either to defer the improvements, and those improvements, generally speaking, we're dealing with the roadways, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, width of the street, perhaps. Those are the kind of things that were either deferred, which means when they annex, they have to include them, or waived, which means permanently gone for that particular development. So there's the difference. And they have those 2 things. The city has those 2 things to read with.
Correct.
Okay. Anything more for staff?
No.
Okay. Mr. Goff, you are the applicant. You are the applicant. At this time, I would like if you would put your name and address on the record, we would go to you.
Yeah, it's Brad Goff, and I'm at 3410 Lincoln Road in Caldwell, Idaho, 83605.
Okay. So tell us what your plan is.
So our plan, and I'm a little bit confused now after reading and maybe trying to understand the development agreement a little bit more. Our plan is to still have 3 lots, 6-acre lots, and have them for our family use. That is the complete intent for us right now with our family. My folks are getting older. They're going to be moving in there by us. We feel obviously that it would be a good fit, and it leaves room for the agricultural farming with the 6-acre lots. The farmer that's currently farming it for us has agreed to stay in there, keep farming it, and it would be, I think, nice for the surrounding area. As to the development agreement, we did sign that. I guess I was confused because when we applied for it, and it's still our intent 100% with the 3, but I would like to stick with, and this is what we applied for, is the rural residential. And if there's some confusion on that part, I guess that would be on me a little bit. I know originally speaking with Tricia that my understanding is rural residential is anything over 2-acre lots, which that is not our intent of doing. But we would like to at least stick with the rural residential without being locked in a box, it kind of sounds like to me, in the future. So I would like to just focus on the rural residential approval right now, but having the commissioners know that our intent is for the 3 parcels for our family.
Well, Commissioner Dale?
Go ahead. No, you go first.
That was just one of the questions I had too. So Tricia, I'll call on you or Dan for this information. If Brad is the son, and if Brad has 2 children, he has a 6-acre piece. If he has 2 children and each of them he wants, it's a family slot, so to speak, you know. If he wants each of them to have one at a later date, if it's got this, they can still, is there the possibility within the family they can divide it off if they want their children each to have 2 acres? They replat. So that doesn't put them in a box. This doesn't put them, is that what you're kind of referring to, Mr. Goff?
Yeah, I
No.
believe, I mean, I've just looked into it a little bit, and it looks like, or it sounds like, that if we are only stuck to this agreement, then there can be stipulations, if anything, that for our family outside of that, it'll never change without going through a whole process. Is that correct?
Yes.
Madam
Tricia,
Chair, that is correct. So the development agreement does lock them down to the 3 lots only. And this is based off of concerns by the city of Caldwell. So there's the option by the board to either go with the development agreement, which will lock them down to 3 lots, or just to fully rezone it to rural residential, which will allow them up to 9 lots as part of that rezone.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Dale was next.
Yeah, and maybe Brad, what I want to ask you, this is what I heard you saying, and the concern was about the RR designation. The rural residential is the only designation we have available for anything 2 acres and above. It does not mean you have to go to 2 acres. It allows 2 acres and above. So you're not locked into saying you got to put more lots on that. What the development agreement does is say you cannot develop without more than the 3 lots without perhaps annexing into the city. And I think that's the direction that the city would desire to have. So.
It would just, I think it would help the Goff and help the board when you're faced with a decision on waiving or deferring those expensive improvements.
Right.
Because
Okay.
the development potential is limited.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm still trying to figure out on this, the structuring of this. We have other developers that come that we don't lock down their future development potential by a development agreement. And so even though they're next to, what we have are 56 subdivisions or 59 or whatever that number is, with a density of 0.43 acres. So that's basically half-acre lots. And I'm still struggling with the missing component of the personal property rights. So even, given the fact that this is an area that's growing because there's already subdivisions that are located there, and it is changing, that's right below Canyon Hill. I'm familiar with that area by Van Buren. They have a number of new home site developments that beat that acreage. It still seems to be overlooking their personal property rights, that if we say we don't require forced annex and we say they have personal property rights and they want to go through a process to rezone that, and they're saying RR, so that's 9, but potentially you could have half acre at 18, you could have 36 lots in there if it fit within Southwest District and you had infrastructure. So I'm still missing the part about why we're not allowing their personal property rights if we're not saying they have to force annex. That doesn't, I'm still not there. It doesn't make sense to me.
Tricia?
I'm sorry.
Oh, just a minute. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Goff.
So my head's kind of spinning sitting here. I guess I would just like to say what's fresh in my mind now and just sitting here listening to this with panic. I guess I'm asking the commissioners then that we just focus on the rezone to rural residential, and then within our plat, which, because I guess speaking with Dan the other day, I've had a heck of a time understanding all this. But speaking with Dan, that we're going to have more process to go through. I would ask the commissioners, one, for our property rights, to just go with the rural residential, like I'm hearing. But in the platting process, you will see, in the future, that we are just seeking 3 lots, plain and simple. But
Okay.
I have a fear of being locked in from what I'm hearing the other way, and that is confusion on my part. I won't deny it, and certainly it's not our intent to go forward, but on the plat that we would propose, you would see that there's going to be 3 lots, and there's not going to be any waiver of that because we don't want any more than that at this point in our life, and we want to have that space, and we want to have it in the farming community still. so to speak, even though it's not a giant chunk of land, but it still will be farmed and enhance the area, I feel. But I am fearful right now of being locked in that development, and I would like to focus on the other and then show on the plat that we would submit later that in fact it is 3 lots only.
Okay, very good. Tricia, did you? Okay, we're good there. Commissioner Dale.
Thanks. I just want to respond to Leslie's, Commissioner Van Beek's comment. It is true that there's a lot of lots out there that are half acre and that kind of stuff, but that kind of development, that density cannot occur without annexation in the city because they have to have city services. Southwest District Health requires a minimum of 1 acre lot to put a septic tank in, and I think even to drill a well, you can't have any less than that. But regardless, if you're going to go to the density levels that are in those other subdivisions around there, it's not a forced annexation, but it's just a practical thing that you can't develop that without the city services. And so to get the city services, they would request to join the city, which would then benefit them because they could make more money on the property.
And that's a great point. Thank you for that clarification. I think that's really good notation for the record. So I just want to make sure that if the board decided to go with an RR development agreement, we would not fail to help or work with or lobby for them not to have to meet those. I mean, that would seem unreasonable requirements. Even if we just went with an RR, we'd still help them because they're in rural counties. That's our jurisdiction. And you know, that whether it's relevant or not, maybe it's not Article 9, but one of those articles that relates to the city that we help. Still County takes, I believe it's related to what you were saying earlier. We still have in that hierarchy, the county jurisdiction still supersedes what the city. We're in area of impact, so we're balancing, we're trying to integrate county requirements with the city's plan so that we don't girdle the city the opportunity to extend their services and accommodate that forecast population to the city. Because that's what all of our transportation planning is based on. The city's huge investments in water and sewer lines is put out those population forecasts to help them extend the sewer. It's the one of the purposes of the State Planning Act is, you know, urban type development within the city. So it's the county's decisions making sure that all of that can play out as it's been planned. So thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Goff? Mr. Goff, did you have anything more you wanted to add?
I don't think so at this time.
Okay. We will give you a chance.
I just want to go forward.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Donna Goff, do you wish to speak at this time?
Yes, I'd like to, please.
Okay. Please.
Okay, my concern is, I guess, and like Brad said, our intent right now is the 3 lots. I mean, that's basically our intent. We do have grandkids that, you know, who knows down the road. I hate to be locked into something that completely locks them out of being able to build there also in case they want to at some time. And so my point is, I guess, whatever that we, and as I understand it, we cannot just be annexed in the city. I mean, it's our property. We've been there. We've owned it since 1999. My understanding is that we cannot just let the city annex us in if we don't want to. We have wells drilled all around this. And so, you know, if it's possible to just rezone without having to have that conditional rezone, to me, that's what I would really prefer, so that we're not have stipulations on more cost to everything and more that we go through everything, that we go through more. Not that we intend to do it right now. That's not our intent. It's just that down the road, I hate to be locked into having to go through this again or to have more costs. We already had lots of costs with the city. We spent $17,000 with the city trying to get this through. It was atrocious. We went through a nightmare with the city council. We had like 3 meetings with them. It was a nightmare. So anyway, and our intent always was to stay with the county. We're in the county.
Okay, I think that we understand your concern and your request on this. Any questions for Mrs. Goff?
Thank
Okay.
you. And I guess also, I mean, I want to add too, I mean, time just keeps flying by. We're now 71 years old, or I am. Roger will be in September. We're not getting any younger. It would help us, you know, to be next to the kids so that if we need help in the future, of course, that's much to our benefit.
Very good, very good.
Madam Chair, may I ask her one question? You are paying or something on that property, Ms. Scott?
I'm sorry, you kind of.
Are you farming, you're doing something to have an ag exemption on that, or no?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We have a farmer that's farmed it for us, you know, ever since we purchased the land in 1999. Okay. And yes, he intends to keep farming.
Okay, thank you.
And we do want a farm exemption, and that's one reason that we're going, you know, that we want it in six acre lots too, so that we get the farm exemption.
Sure.
On the land.
Very good.
You know, and like I said, down the road, who knows, maybe when we're gone, I don't know, you know, maybe the kids will want to move there, our grandkids, you know, maybe Brad will get tired of taking care of 6 acres. I would just like for them to have the ability to, you know, to make a decision that benefits them without going through a lot more cost on the property and a lot more hassle.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I heard Roger in the background. Did you wish to speak, Roger?
Well, no, I mean just the straight RRs, and of course, when we bought that, we bought it with this intention to, you know, move there later in life. And of course, Brad has agreed to help us. And so, like Donna said, we thought it would just be to our benefit.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other questions for the golf?
Yeah, just a quick question. So I think I understand, Roger, Brad, whoever, nobody is living on, none of you are living on this property at this time, right?
Right.
No.
Right. Okay, thank
you. Wait.
We're not looking
at we are not.
Okay.
Right, yeah. There's some other houses on the northeast corner and the southeast corner, but that's not them.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Brad
lives.
Brad, are you there?
I am currently on Lincoln Road.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Carrie, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Okay. So what I wanted to add is I've known the Goffs for a very long time. They're family friends. And I've tried to, in between my busy schedule, help them as much as I can. But the thing that I think is really important is that we look at, does the rezone fit? And I understand where Trish and Dan are coming from on the development agreement, but the comprehensive plan shows this is residential. The rezone, the analysis that staff completed is correct and true. The rezone fits. And although I'm a big fan of the city of Caldwell, as everybody knows, the Goff's intentions are for rural development. And to impose the development agreement on a straight rezone, personally, I've never seen that. I think we're treading on very thin water by beginning to impose development agreements on a rezone land use request. we have a conditional rezone process that's already in place per the zoning ordinance that allows for a development agreement. And I would hate to blur that line, allowing for that same process to be moved over into the rezone process. I think that if the Goffs would have applied for a conditional rezone, all of this talk about a development agreement would have been appropriate. But right now, I think it's very inappropriate agreement to be signed. I'll be more vocal than the Goffs were. They were trying to be nice. It should be a straight rezone. Does the request fit you guys, and consider that, and let the Goffs work with Tricia and the team on the subdivision proposals. And I appreciate the work that Tricia did to create the help with the site plan so that they have street frontage for each of the parcels so that they don't have road improvements, and support the rezone request. So, and it's a great fit for that area. It truly is a rural area. I will add one thing that they didn't say. Their son Ryan owned the parcel on the bottom right-hand corner of that proposed lot 1. And because of what the Goffs have gone through for the past couple of years, Ryan ended up moving. And so they were not able to exercise their property rights and keep their family together. And that's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate for their kids not being able to have that rural lifestyle, and anything you can do to help them. I'm very supportive. So with that, I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Any questions for Carrie? Okay, thank you very much.
There's one more person who's joined, Vicki Nay.
Vicki,
Hello.
hello. Are you wishing to speak at this public hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have to swear you in. Are you for or against?
I am for.
Okay, very good. Monica will swear you in.
Vicki Nay, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Okay, please. We are interested in what you have to say, Vicki.
Hello. I'm Vicki Nay, 3423 Marble Front Road. We purchased the property that was just referred to, that was previously owned by son Ryan Goff. We went under contract at the end of January and closed in February, right after getting married. So my husband Bruce and I are strongly in favor of the Goff's proposal. This subject property is surrounded on 2 sides by privately owned small acreage residential properties, mostly 1 to 3 acres in size. I think there's a 6 acre or so in there. And so the Goff's proposal to divide this parcel of land into a few rural residential lots for themselves and their family, and possibly upcoming generation, is in line with the surrounding land use. We are neighbors. We and our neighbors are seeing the development of subdivisions on the south side of Marble Front, small lots, residential use. And we assume that this would eventually happen, and we're okay with that. But we also believe that it's important for our community to have something besides high-density residential subdivisions, and it's what gives a community character and variety. And we chose to live here because we love the open space and the access to nature and the views, but we also wanted to live close to the community of Caldwell and to our children and our grandchildren. And looking at some of the criteria for approving this amendment to the zoning, it says to be compatible with surrounding land uses, and we believe that the Goff's proposal absolutely is in line with several of the other properties along the north side of Marble Front and on both sides of the we feel strongly that the Goffs purchased this rural property 2 decades ago with this intent in mind, and we feel like it would be Travis deny them in their later years the freedom to live on their land next to their son and preserve this wonderful rural atmosphere for the upcoming generation.
Very good. Thank you, Vicki. Any questions for Vicki? Oh, thank you very much for taking the time to testify at this public hearing, Vicki.
Thank you. It's important to us.
Okay, let's see. Have I missed anyone? I want to make sure that we did not miss anyone. It looks like we've got them. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Brad. If for
Yes.
anything if you'd like to wrap this, the public testimony up, I welcome you to.
Yes, that would be fine. I would like to wrap it up, please.
Okay. Do you have anything more to say?
I think that was the wrap up. Was that your wrap up, Brad?
I just wanted to see if you had anything,
Okay.
you had anything to add.
You know, I guess the only thing I would add, one of the commissioners, and I apologize, I lost the name, had asked about if we live close up there, and in fact, you know, I do live in that corner. One of the big reasons, it's not me. One of the big reasons for me also wanting to move and do what I'm doing, I've had some.
You just lost it. Start the clock.
I think we got that, Brad.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Madam Chair, with that, I make a motion that we close public comment.
Second. Moved and seconded to close public comment. I would like to thank everybody who participated and for your patience and for doing this way with us right now in these times. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
No, I was confused.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm generally in favor of this. I think it makes sense for the area. I am sensitive to the city of Caldwell's expansion and their master plan for water and sewer goes through that area to service a much higher density than this. I think that what we have here is a very good fit for that area for this time right now. Nothing that is being done today cannot be modified in the future. So you're not being forced into a box for the rest of existence of time. There's always a possibility. The platting process that is required for this present request will include the 3 lots, my understanding, that have been proposed here. And just to clarify something there for Mrs. Goff, in the future, this can be modified, but it will require a replatting process that has to be gone through. So the plat will include the three lots, as I understand that you guys are talking about right now. Down the road, that can be modified, but there's a process you'll have to go through. And this is a question for Trish. Tricia, I'm sensitive to the development agreement issue. I believe I can remember more than once when we have done a rezone and then put a stipulation on there that on the number of buildings that can be applied to that. Would you please address that just briefly?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tool that we use probably more often outside areas of impact where people have used all of their land divisions and not just one more. And that's a way that we can restrict the additional entitlement to just match their desire without opening up the whole barn to a whole big subdivision, you know. So it helps give the agency confidence of them what they can require, because then they understand what is the total potential development, you know, and they can match their requirements for that. So it helps. It's a tool that benefits the agencies and the property owner to make sure everything's kind of right-sized.
Right.
I just want to add, in this case, since we have the plat, the plat itself, if you know, we don't have a development agreement and we get a plat that has 20 or whatever, that, you know, then then the board still has the leverage of whether or not to waive improvements at the time and work with the city on what improvements then. So if they do come in with 3, as we totally anticipate they will, you would still have that other waiver thing. If you didn't have a development agreement, you still have that to evaluate the development
Very good.
service demand.
Thanks, Trish. That's good information.
Yeah.
And as always, you always give me more than I asked for, which is good in this case. I really appreciate that. That's not a bad thing.
This is an unusual,
Yeah, it is.
unique circumstance.
All of them are.
Yeah, everyone, we evaluate these things a case by case always. I would like to just reaffirm there are no worries about forced annexation, none at all. You can put that out of your mind. Forced annexations can only happen once the entire property is surrounded by the city limits. The impact area does not qualify for a forced annexation. Forced annexations cannot occur even if they're enclaved if there's an excess of 5 acres on that. And when this comes in, I believe the Goffs, when they say they want 3 lots and they're going to do that, I guess in some ways I would say that there really is not a need for the development agreement because the plat that would come in with 3 lots would lock them into 3 lots for right now. And in the future, if they want to sell property, if they want to do something different, then that's going to come back to this board for evaluation and approval or denial. So it really kind of is a little bit redundant because they have to come back here anyway. If there was to be any kind of a development agreement, to be sensitive to the city of Caldwell, I would just say no further divisions of the property without annexation in the city. That's the only thing I would even consider. But the rest of this in this development agreement, pretty much, I mean, you got to comply with all federal, state, county laws. You got to do that. Written permission has to be obtained for pioneer irrigation prior to any encroachments. That's law. It doesn't really need to be in there. So that's the only comments I have regarding the development agreements itself. And just to reassure Mrs. Goff, there will always be the ability to modify that plat in the future, but you have to go through the process. And other than that, I'm totally in favor of this. I think it makes great sense for the area, and it's a great boon for the Goffs to have. Man, I'd love to have that kind of a family where everybody wants to live next to each other and they all get along good. Man, that's ideal. And I want to do everything I can to support that. So
Thank you, Commissioner Dale. Commissioner Van Beek?
Madam Chair, I am in support of this application, but I am not in support of a development agreement for the reasons already alluded to in there. We have credible testimony from the family that should weigh in on this. It will come back as a plat. I don't think it's necessary because we still want to be mindful, first and foremost, of their personal property rights in the city secondarily. I, too, am a fan of the city of Caldwell and respect their right to develop that and the services that have been provided, but it still belongs to the property owner, and they have expressed a desire to not be bound by a development agreement. There's going to be additional requirements for platting if they choose at some point in time. That they've expended a great cost, which I'm glad we don't have the responsibility for how that is. But I think there's good faith on both sides, on the part of the commissioners, that this applicant will do and present a plan that they've outlined here. I like their testimony. Vicki Nay's testimony that this RR designation is consistent with what's in that area from 1 to 3 acres. That fits right in the middle. It meets with what we're talking about when we have realtors in here that look for inventory. So at the most, at some point in future, they could do an additional 6. But that, I would want to weight the credibility of their testimony and to trust, just like I would want that consideration as a property owner, that coming before the board, giving the process that they've been through, you don't need a development agreement on it. I'm in favor of it, but I'm not in favor of a development agreement.
I'm in favor of this. Congratulations to the Goff family, I think this is wonderful. I especially appreciate the fact that there's farming still going on there, so, and it's generational, so that's a win-win for all of us. So having said that, and I am also in the mindset that I do not wish for there to be a development agreement. I think it's handled, and these people know exactly what they want and what they need to do. And as they move into the future, I want them to do it with unfettered. So I'll accept a motion.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I move that we approve the rezone RZ 2019-0014 without the development agreement and standard boilerplate language.
I'll second that.
And I think it's 0041.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, you're correct.
Okay, 0041. Okay, moved and seconded to approve the request. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Madam Chair, did I include parcel number and what we were changing from to? I don't know if I included that. So it's a rezone of parcel R351-20010 from A agricultural to RR rural residential, minimum 2-acre lot size.
Okay, very good.
Madam Chair, could I take a privilege here? Brad, the Goffs there, can I just ask a personal question? Are you guys related to Judge Goff and Steve Goff and all those Goffs?
Yes. I think my dad can answer that, but yes, we certainly know Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just wondering.
Dennis is a cousin.
Yeah, we're all related.
Okay.
Can I add something? I appreciate everyone's time and understanding. This has been a real trial for all of us, and I appreciate everyone's help and understanding. And I apologize. We lost your call. I hope you didn't hear everything that was going on.
Oh, it was okay.
We did hear some of it.
No, we did hear some of it, but it's just us, so it's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And
I
would love to add thank you to everybody, and it's certainly been an emotional ride, and we do greatly appreciate everybody's time, and especially today. Thank everyone so much for everything.
You are very welcome, and you all please stay well.
Yeah.
And
Brad.
Yes, you guys too, and God bless everybody.
thank you, you as well. That will conclude this meeting.
Commissioner, Madam Chair. So
Yes,
the
Dan.
ordinance and the FCOs don't
hate to be rude and cut her off with her whole spiel, but you know, the WebEx, yeah, the WebEx lady. Oh, yeah, they want you to welcome to and then you got to press 1 to join. I think we have that down. Oh, let's see.
Okay. Let me see who's on. Kathy and Jan Almeida's on.
Now you're ahead of me.
Joe is on. We have no applicant.
Like she's there, Kathy Wainscott.
Where is she at?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it.
That looks like her right there.
Yeah, I think that is her. Okay. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 28th. Commissioner Van Beek, Commissioner White, and Commissioner Dale. We are all three here in our commissioners' meeting room. We have Jen and Ross and Monica Reeves. The deputy clerks are here with us. Tricia Nielsen, who is the director of the GSD department for Canyon County, is in the meeting room with us now. We have some people that this is a WebEx meeting, and thank you for joining us. And we have Jen Almeida, who is a planner and of our DSD department, and Kathy, is it Wangsgard?
Yes, it is.
Okay, you are here, and I don't see nobody else. You wish, as the applicant, Kathy, are you going to testify?
Not if I don't need to. I mean, I think you have all my information.
Okay. Okay, I think what we'll do is, just because you're on and everything, in case there are questions or anything that you will add on the record, I think we'll go ahead and swear you in. Is that okay with you, Kathy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. Monica?
Tricia Nielsen, Jennifer Almeida, Kathy Wainsgard, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God?
So help me God. Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. So, Jen? If you would, please.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair. There are no late exhibits for this case, and I'll go through my presentation for you. The subject property is 2.37 acres. Its current zone is agricultural. Future land use map shows this property as residential, and it is located within Middleton's area of city impact. On the screen is the Canyon County future land use map, which shows the property as residential, as well as many of the properties surrounding it. Residential is shown in yellow. The proposed rezone is consistent with the future land use of the area. The surrounding area is residential and agriculture, as shown on the aerial photo. There are 33 platted subdivisions within 1 mile. Those subdivisions contain 487 lots, and the platted lot size within 1 mile is 1.85 acres. There's residential zoning within proximity of the subject property, both rural residential and single-family residential, and you can see that on the zoning map on the screen, as well as in your packet as Exhibit 7. R1 zoning is shown as a darker yellow, and RR is shown in a lighter yellow. The property has frontage on Stone Lane, and this road will provide access to the new lot. An approach permit from Canyon Highway District will be required at the time of building permits. Canyon Highway District indicated there would be no significant impacts from the proposed project. Staff has reviewed the request and found that it meets the standard of review for zoning amendment and is also harmonious with the Canyon County Comprehensive Plan map. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the request on February 20th of 2020. And staff is also recommending approval of the request, and we have provided findings of fact, conclusions of law and order for the board's consideration found in Exhibit 1 of the staff report. That concludes my summary, and I will stand for questions.
Any questions for Jen?
No, it's pretty
Not
straight.
at this time, okay. Kathy, it's your opportunity to just kind of share with us what you are intending to do.
I'm intending to let my son build a home up on the property, but I live down, it's a weird property, but I want my son to build a home up on that property. And that's what I want, is a home up there for him.
Okay. So that's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Madam
Any
Chair,
questions
I have
for
no
Kathy?
questions. I think it's pretty straightforward.
No, I don't have any
No.
questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Anything else? Jen, is there anything you wanted to add at this time?
No, Madam Chair. I think everything's been covered. It's a pretty straightforward request where the applicant is just wanting one additional lot for her son to build a home on.
Very good. Okay. There is no one else signed up to speak.
Madam Chair, seeing no one else ready to jump in here, I'd make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Madam Chair, this is a really easy one. I wish all of our public hearings were this easy. Kathy, your request is totally reasonable and fits in with the area. I think it'll be a much better use of that 2+ acres that you own to have 2 lots and have 2 homes on there. It will fit in with what's going on as far as the trending in that area. And I'm glad to be able to make a motion that we approve the request for a rezone. This is 2019-0040 and include the findings of fact, conclusions of law and order for the ordinance and the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the rezone and findings of fact, conclusions of law. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think it's wonderful, Kathy, with these last 3 months and everything, what we need, we want to be close to our families, and so I think it's great to have your son move close, so.
Thank you.
Good for you. Good
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you so very much.
You are very welcome, and you stay well.
You too.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude this meeting. And we have the papers to sign, Jen.
Okay, yes, they should be, I sent them over to Monica. You should have some FCOs and an ordinance for signature.
And I think you're exactly right. Commissioner Van Beek. Okay.
Is that it?
Yes, we've concluded this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.